Hello and welcome, all listeners, to Xavier Newswire Live, the radio show that will catch you up on all of the Xavier news from Ledgewood Drive to Dana Avenue and beyond. Today is September 28th, and we are bringing the show to you live on XUFM. I'm David Ludwig.
And I'm Will Pembroke.
And in this episode of Newswire Live, you'll get to hear the Newswire multimedia crew bring you the rundown on the Student Government Association with Thomas Webby, Speak Up XU walkout, and the #1 trending article on XavierNewswire.com, Pornography is Not Liberation by Grace Hamilton. That's enough introduction, so let's get right into the show. At this time, we'd like to welcome Student Government Association President Thomas Webby. Welcome, Thomas.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I am doing all right.
That's good. So for those who may not know you, could you just give a short, minute-long introduction and just tell us a few things about yourself?
Those classic Xavier introductions. My name is Thomas Webby. I am a senior political science theater double major with a minor in political thought from Nashville, Tennessee. And I guess this is the part where I'd say a fun fact about myself.
If you want to.
Well, I guess, my fun fact has always been I do an array of impressions on my, kind of on the side. And you can find those at Xavier Theater on stage or Don't Tell Anna, in the lovely improv comedy troupe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
So getting right into things, last year, what made you decide to run for president of SGA?
It was a lot of things. I would say I've been active on campus since the day I stepped foot. My first year here, I was on SAC, through other clubs as well. And then sophomore year, I did Manresa, and I was kind of tapped on the shoulder and asked at that time, by another ticket running and one of the most competitive SGA executive elections ever. At least from what I was told. And they asked me to run with them, and I ran with them, and I was really inspired at that time because through my time on Manresa, you kind of get to see a fresh perspective of campus. You get to see what is missing, what's wrong, what is right, and all of that. And so through seeing all of that and kind of finding my projects, from accessibility to many others at the time, I decided to run then. Now, as it turns out, we lost, and that was fine. I continued on being active on campus in other ways. And junior year comes around last year, and I'm hearing that people are preparing for the election, and I was thinking about doing it. And one good friend, current Senator Kate Roach, she actually asked, she said, "Do you plan on running?" And I said, I'm not sure yet. And she really actually told me that I should run, and she introduced me to my lovely VPs, Manor and Mickey. And we met, and the rest is kind of history. We came up with a platform, and we decided, these are the things that we want to fight for, and we're going to fight to get them done. So, yeah.
Excellent. So this year has been a little abnormal for all of us.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe.
But could you recap some of the challenges that specifically you and the SGA body have had to overcome?
Well, what's fascinating is that the very, very beginning of this year, before COVID even, we have been facing, campuses across the country have been facing low involvement. Okay. And you can see that just by looking at our last SGA election. There was one exec team, and I think it was 17 or 18 senators out of the 20 needed positions. So As soon as we got, sworn in, I was instantly trying to fill vacancies, and that really hasn't stopped. From vacancy filling then to even now with low involvement with COVID-19, and I would say kind of a drain on senators. We've had senators who have had to step down for other arrangements and things like that. So it has been very hard to kind of keep even a full board. As well as also one of the big things is, the big transition. We were on campus one day, and then the next day they were telling us all to go home. And I was asked by one of my advisors, they said, so what do you want to do? Do we stop or do we continue on? Do we go online or do we just kind of stop as a whole? And I said, there's no way that we can stop. This is something that we were elected to do, and we're going to continue doing. So we switched to an online format, and we continued to meet at our usual Monday times. And and that, I guess that's the big thing, is trying to keep students interested and involved when they are so far from their campus and home here in Cincinnati, when they're off at home across Nashville, that kind of thing. That's hard. It's a hard thing.
That's got to be definitely very difficult.
It's pretty fascinating too, in a COVID time where you'd feel like people would be looking for more ways to make friends.
Yeah.
But it's honestly almost the opposite with people just not doing things.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah. So kind of looking back over the Webby administration, what are some of the things that you're proudest to have achieved so far this year, and what matters do you hope to finish before your term expires?
Well, before I answer that, I'm going to stop and I'm going to say, it isn't just a Webby administration. I think that this whole past semester, this whole past 2 semesters, has really shown that it is a group effort. Yeah. And that's been one really important factor of this Senate specifically, is making sure that we're holding each other accountable from a whole variety of different projects and issues that we're talking about. But I would personally say some of the ones that I'm really proud of. For starters, it was one of the top things in our platform, and we were able to get this passed thanks to, again, Senator Roach for kind of co-sponsoring this and really spearheading this with us. But the menstrual care products and bringing that to campus, as well as also, Senator Garrity and helping with the pronoun initiative, to which we have now officially got that switched and fixed and ready to go, and a whole bunch more projects that we kind of have down the barrel and are ready, but it's a hard thing. It is slow.
Yeah, well said. The Newswire, as probably most people in this room are a little familiar with, but the Newswire has extensively covered SGA's initiatives this year, and a little shameless plug for more detailed information on some of those. Go ahead and visit XavierNewswire.com and search SGA. Thomas, could you update students on campus about the progress of some of your approved and ongoing initiatives, especially, namely a few things we received questions about are, as you said earlier, the free menstrual care products initiative that your executive ticket co-sponsored, and the Senate approved 7 months ago, was it?
Yeah.
As well as the Constitution Committee and their proposed changes.
Yeah. So I guess starting with the menstrual care products, this is, the money is approved and set, and we have been working with the company that will be providing those Ant Flow. The issue is we've been waiting to do the installment of these dispensers, because with the current dispensers that they have, let me start over. It was a matter of they have a dispenser now, and they have a dispenser that we agreed to bringing on campus. The one that we agreed to having, they don't have yet, and the one that they did have, it turned out to be faulty, and they offered us, well, we could give you the faulty ones, and we're going, well, we don't want faulty dispensers. And so they say, okay, well, then we can give you the old ones. But the big problem is, if we have to put on the old ones and then go back in and do repairs to the wall where we've installed them, and then put new ones in once they get the new ones. So we're still kind of just waiting for those new ones to be perfected so that we can have those installed. But what's very fascinating is that we already have different offices on campus reaching out to us, wanting to get in on being able to have these dispensers brought to their building. So that's like a fascinating thing. I know, we started just kind of with like areas, and this is the hassle, is we're starting with areas where student employees are there so that they can fill the dispensers, so that we don't have to rely on university staff to do that. So that's one of the big things. Now, for the Constitutional Committee, that is something that was literally the first day I went and watched SGA Senate before I got sworn in. They voted it down. They voted down the amendments to the Constitution, and we have kind of taken that work of the previous SGA, and we've kind of been just pounding away at it, trying to fix it and get out all those kinks so that when we bring it to the board, we can have a full support vote. And then when we bring it to the student body, it can be full supported and understood as well. So as of now, they're working. They have almost a finalized copy. They've been working with BOE, Board of Elections, and Peter with all that. And I'm really excited for some of these changes. I think it will help, first off, add a little more structure to the SGA, because right now, you look at, as I said way back when, you look at that Constitution, it's a fine document, but it's kind of loose and vague, and it doesn't do anybody any good. And so we're going to add some structure and hopefully make SGA a little more productive through adding that structure.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So later in the show, we'll be covering the Speak Up XU protest and walkout that occurred on Friday. As president of our student government, do you have any messages for the students or for the university in general about the protest or about experiences of anti-Black racism on campus?
Well, I'd say across the board, in regard to anti-Black racism on campus, we hear you as a student government, a governing body. We've had many executive sessions, which is a technical term for meetings within our meeting to kind of discuss this topic specifically time and time again. And it's important because what I'm hearing is that a lot of people want change, and we need to be able to work together on that. And when I was at the protest, there were a lot of great calls to action that we're already acting on. There was one that called for making club budgets public. And we are already working to do that today, just because we hear you and we want that fight to keep going. And as I told my Senate today, it's hard because I can see that people are feeling a little drained on this, and we can't let that happen when there is so much that we can change about this university. And the university, I think, is willing to change. They're willing to hear us out, and they're willing to, change, but we just got to keep fighting. We just got to keep pushing. And I want to say, we just released also a statement on our Instagram today in regards to the Breonna Taylor ruling. There are places on campus that you can go if you feel like you need to talk about certain things. But I also want you to know, if you are someone who has an idea to make this campus a better place, DM our Instagram, DM me. I want to have that conversation, and I want to get our Senate going on this.
Wonderful. Looking to the future, kind of along this same vein of direct conversation with the SGA. Looking to the future this week, SGA and Newswire are co-hosting the Your School, Your Questions event. Can you tell listeners what to expect?
Well, for anyone who's not aware, you'll have a great panel of speakers from the administration that are willing to answer all types of questions you might have, whether it be about student experience, whether it be, I know there are some about diversifying where Xavier's money is going, such as like oil industries, such like that. But it also, again, kind of to what we were talking about anti-Black racism on campus. And you will be able to ask our administrators what they have done and what they plan on doing, as well as to see and hear the plan that the university has offered. This is a great opportunity to kind of be that checks and balance, if you will, of your university, to hold your university accountable, and to get to pull the people who oftentimes it feels like decisions are being made behind a curtain. Well, this is the opportunity to kind of rip that curtain off and to see what's happening, and to kind of have anything that you're curious about be answered. Yeah. So, yeah.
And how can people send questions to you?
Well, if you go to our Instagram, we will be putting up another little post that has submit your questions on our story, as well as there's a link in our bio that will take you straight to the survey to submit questions as well. And then this Wednesday, the day before the event, we will be tabling in right outside Gallagher from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And if you walk by, you can write down your question and submit it in a little box, or scan our QR code and do it that way. So, yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Love the openness. That's great.
Yeah. And for those of you listening, you can go to Your School, Your Questions live. It's 4 to 6 p.m. on October 1st at Ryan's Landing. And for those of you at home or off campus, you can visit Xavier Newswire on Instagram Live at that time and watch a live broadcast of Your School, Your Questions. Looking to the future, SGA elections are quickly approaching. Can you tell us some of the details about the upcoming election, and do you have any messages for students who are considering running for SGA?
Well, details, if you're looking to run in the Senate, go to XU elections. and look at the Board of Elections dates. You're going to need to go through a Senate info session, as well as you can message Peter Korchik if you are thinking about running as an executive. And I want to encourage everyone to do this, to at least consider it, because, again, former Vice President Alfredo Mercedes, he said one thing that SGA needs is passionate senators. And I see that and I feel that now. And we have them and we're getting there. But it is a matter of, if you're passionate about something, come and be a part of this, because put that passion to use. It's going to be better than just, maybe saying something and just sitting idly by. And I want you to come out and I want you to vote. And I also want you to know, hey, from my experience, if anyone comes, and this is a little quick change back to one of the questions you asked earlier about things that we're kind of proud of as an exec board. I know I'm proud of one of the changes that we were able to push on BOE. Now, while I asked for university public funding, if you will, of elections, that sadly won't be the case. But they have added a new restriction that will make sure that outside groups are not funding our SGA campaigns. And that is a crucial thing that was needed, and we have that now. So again, you should feel better and more free in running and not worry about any outside groups trying to affect this election at all.
Yeah, I believe there was some news about that last election cycle about outside groups contacting representatives and contacting candidates to fund their campaigns.
Yeah, and it's just, again, we don't need to have a divided, politicized. Funny, it's student government, but we don't need a politicized student government in that. So yeah. But
Very good.
Ron.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Is there anything before we head off to the next segment? Is there anything else you'd like to say? Any plugs? Anything at all?
Well, I mean, again, just make sure you're submitting your questions for your school, your questions. You can find it on our social media, both Twitter and our Instagram, XUSGA. I want to see you guys out there. I really do, because it's important that y'all are asking the questions. This is your school, and you got to hold our university accountable.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, listeners, we'll be back with our next segment. And welcome back, listeners. It is time for our very special hot takes. And we have managed to keep you knew you were going to do this. We have Thomas Webby here. Thomas, we have a segment we like to do on the show week to week called Xavier Hot Takes, where we just share our little opinions. We goof on them a bit. Mm-hmm. Will, do you want to start us off?
It's time to have some fun.
The master of them.
My hot take for this week is that the best season to be at Xavier is fall. As we look out, there's a window in our office here. There's a beautiful orange sunset. By the way, Xavier with the sunsets this year.
On point.
We might have talked about this already, but some of the best I've ever seen.
Definitely.
But the leaves falling from the trees. We have some very beautiful trees around campus, and just everything's so green. Fall is just spectacular. Obviously, the weather speaks for itself, but I just think campus really glows at this time of year. So,
yeah. I was walking down the street next to UDF. Is that Ledgewood? That's Ledgewood, isn't it?
Next to UDF?
Yeah, the one that passes by UDF. Is that Ledgewood or not?
No.
No?
No.
No? Which one is
That's
that?
Montgomery.
That's Montgomery?
Yeah.
I don't know streets, but...
Is it in Montgomery or Dana?
It's not... Oh, it might be Dana, actually.
Yeah, it's Dana.
So, but the sidewalk...
Go ahead.
The sidewalk across there with the trees, the little rows of trees,
Yes.
it looks so beautiful.
Wonderful.
The leaves are starting to come into color. It's right before they fall off. No pun intended. And it's such a delight.
Well, I think it's also the temperature outside on good days when it's not for some reason 90 degrees on a fall day.
Right.
And it's
Boy,
like
oh
a
boy.
nice cool day and you can actually go out and enjoy the yard.
Right.
I mean, that's
Yeah, it's spectacular. I mean, even just being able to go outside and do things, in the yard or even off campus where you just don't feel like you're going out, you're going to be sweating the whole time.
Totally.
Yeah, fall's great for that for sure.
I know it was a little rainy today, but I had my windows open and it was nice.
It's a nice cool breeze.
It's a nice breeze, yeah.
Absolutely. Thomas, would you have one that you'd like to contribute?
My
Let's hear
hot
it.
take, and I don't know, I don't know how Pope Francis is doing. I don't know if he's thinking about replacements, if he's gonna pull a Benedict or anything like that. But I think he should deeply consider Father B as the next Pope.
Ooh.
Father B for Pope?
Father B for Pope.
This
I'm
is
down
the
for Pope.
hottest of the hot takes.
You came in here guns blazing, Thomas.
It's what I do.
Wow.
It's what I do.
I'm not saying I
Wow.
disagree.
Yeah, please justify. I'd love to hear
Well,
it.
I mean, think about it. He would never get anybody's name wrong. Hello,
True.
Saint. I do worry, though, that we might end up with a lot more saints than we ever thought we could have in the Catholic Church before.
Father B's canonization wave.
Oh, yeah. Everyone would be a saint.
Everyone's a saint.
And that's great, though.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
For sure.
You make
Wow. My mind is blown. I didn't even think about that.
no, you make a very good point.
David, you came on the show and stood us up with our own segment.
Yeah, I think we can't do hot takes anymore.
Yeah, we might
my
have to
hot
retire
take,
the segment
my
after
hot
that.
take is that we're gonna have to retire the segment now because
Oh my
Thomas
goodness.
just one-upped us for all time.
Wow.
Darn it.
Wow.
We should have had him on in a later episode.
Yeah, we really should have.
We can't top that.
No, I'm out. I'm done.
Time it
I think
out.
I'm done for the day. It was a great segment. Only had to do 2 today, but Thomas just.
I think
wow.
the show's over.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Wow.
But sorry, I gotta keep a straight face now. I need to do my job.
Yeah, what's your hot take, David? Do you have?
That was the hot take.
Oh.
Is that I don't think we can do the sig. No, I think I don't really have anything. I don't know. This week just hasn't been a lot for me. It's just been kind of quiet. I'm not going to say too quiet, but I'm going to say things have been a little quiet. And I don't know. I've been a little sedentary for
I
the
think there's
week.
a hot take brewing in your voice.
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah.
There is a week in 2020 that could be quiet.
Oh. No, you know what? Here's what I'm going to say. My hot take. As some people may know, Halloween this year is on a blue moon.
Oh, I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
So it's not only a full moon, it is prepare for trouble and make it double.
Ooh.
And I don't know if I've talked about this on
No, please go.
on the show,
No,
but
yeah, continue.
I am an RA in Brockman,
Oh,
which is an
yes.
all-freshman dorm.
Thank you for
Yes.
And I am on duty that night, and it's a Saturday.
No, you got stuck with Halloween duty.
I chose it.
On the blue
Oh,
I
you
moon.
chose
it. Oh, he
I-
wanted the challenge.
I turned to my friend on RA staff, Austin. I was like, "You want to do duty Halloween?" And he was like, "Yeah, what the heck? Let's do it." And my hot take is nothing's gonna happen. My hot take is we're gonna build this up, and it's like, oh, the planets are aligning, and it's Saturday, a Halloween, and it's a blue moon. Everything's gonna be crazy. My hot take is nothing's gonna happen.
Just
it's
a
gonna
dud.
be extremely chill or like even boring. My hot take is I think that's what's gonna happen. Now that I say that, we're gonna have I don't know.
You jinxed it.
So many things.
Totally just jinxed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you jinxed it. Knock on some wood or something.
Seriously. It's-
Charlie told me about the
metal.
the
Metal.
superstition in Italy. It's touching metal actually.
Oh. Okay.
My hot take. That's way easier than knocking on wood.
Yes, it is. Very much so.
But
Wow.
we have that's our segment. Thank you very much, Thomas, once again for coming on the show.
Loved having you on.
Viewers, we're going to go to a quick intermission, and we will be right back. welcome back, listeners. The song you just heard was Inspiration by Rafael Krux. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns for the Newswire Multimedia crew, send them on over to our email address, which is xaviernewswire@gmail.com. You can also find Newswire Live episodes on YouTube. Search Xavier Newswire to find our channel. Every week, Newswire Live will be updating you, the listeners, on the status of COVID-19 on campus. As of Sunday, September 27th, there are a total of 29 cases in the Xavier community, 27 students and 2 employees. 9 students are isolated on campus and 18 are isolated off campus. As of September 24th, there are 23 students in quarantine on campus, 21 in residences and 2 in designated spaces. There are also 69 students in quarantine off campus. Now for our primary story of the day, we'd like to welcome Erin Albright for her story on the Speak Up XU walkout.
Hundreds of students marched through campus last Friday to denounce both the dissatisfying university response to the grand jury verdict that failed to charge Louisville Metropolitan Police officers for the death of Breonna Taylor and what Black students see as a historical failure for Xavier administration to provide for their needs on campus. Taylor, a Black medical worker, was fatally shot in her Louisville home while LMPD officers John Mattingly, Miles Cosgrove, and Brett Hankison were serving a no-knock search warrant on the night of March 13th. On September 23rd, Hankison was indicted with 3 counts of wanton endangerment on the basis of stray bullets that entered a neighboring apartment unit. No charges were filed in relation to Taylor's death. Students waited for a response from their university regarding the indictment, but it wasn't until 24 hours later that a message from university president Father Michael Graham was sent to students. For Black women attending Xavier, these students see themselves in Taylor. Taylor isn't the first Black woman to be brutalized while the world carries on. The protesters began at the Scales of Justice on campus and later marched to the Xavier University's police department. As they walked, the streets and sidewalks were filled with chants of, "Say her name, Breonna Taylor." Organizer Soraya Barnes spoke of the fear she lives with.
I'm a Black woman here at Xavier University, a predominantly white institution, and I did not hear an utterance the day of from an organization on this campus. I want to make that known because I'm a Black woman and I am tired. I am tired for speaking for myself.
The grand jury's indictment and the university's response was not the only motivation for this event. Protest organizers expressed frustration at the lack of Black faculty and staff. To me, it's a problem that I see more Black workers in the CAF than in the classroom. Represent me in more than a menial job. We are more than menial jobs, said senior Cameron Lakes. The Center for Diversity and Inclusion has served as a safe space for students on campus and is often cited as a source of support for Black students. But protesters argued that CDI Director Dr. Kira Shahid and the few other Black staff members that work with students bear an overwhelming burden as some of the only resources for Black students. Notably, the sole Black counselor at Psychological Services and Lieutenant Sean Bryce, who is a Black XUPD officer that was active in the Xavier community, both parted with the university this summer. Along with a lack of representation, a number of students came forward to give testimony to their experiences with both academic advising and racial discrimination.
If y'all don't know me, my name is Sierra Stennis. I'm also a nursing major. Now, I don't know how many of y'all realize I ain't not seen one Black nursing professor, preceptor, anyone administrator in that building. And I'm going to tell you something else. I've been here for 5 years. Someone asked me why. Because that nursing program decided to hold me back because I am a minority. They try to tell me my GPA wasn't what it is. My GPA was perfectly fine.
The crowd that attended the protest was unexpected, being filled with deans, coaches, athletes, and hundreds of other members of the Xavier community. David Mengel, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, noted his pride that students were comfortable speaking up on campus.
Yeah, obviously, I'm thrilled to be watching our students step up and step out, as the case is. It's a really important moment for them to make their voices heard, both for what's going on in society and what's going on campus. And so I wanted to be here to listen and to hear what they have to say.
Members of the athletic department felt so strongly in attending that practices were canceled to allow student athletes to attend, including the men's and women's basketball teams. Women's head basketball coach Melanie Moore was seen standing proudly with members of the basketball team, saying that we must listen, be the change, and educate ourselves. Men's head basketball coach Travis Steele was also in attendance. For Daniel Ramsey, a sophomore forward on Xavier's men's basketball team, attending Friday's protest was to stand in unity with victims of racial injustices.
We just wanted to take a stand as a team just to show our unity and how we feel about the things that happened with the Breonna Taylor trial and just that whole situation. So we thought this was a good way to get in some good trouble and just use our voices and our platform to really try to bring about change.
Yeah.
Protesters hope that Friday's demonstration is the spark Xavier administration needs to begin making changes and end racial injustice on campus. One of the final students spoke to the group of protesters, saying, "We are tired. We are crying, and the fact that you guys have to ask us, what can we do? What do you mean, what can I do? We are tired of explaining it. I hope the administration is out here taking notes. I hope you're out here listening instead of just saying, oh, I came to that. Quit asking me what you can do."
No racism! Police! No justice! Police! 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 No racism! Police!
Hello, listeners, and welcome back. At this time, we would like to welcome the organizer of Speak Up XU, Soraya Barnes. Hello, Soraya. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm okay.
I'm well. Thank you. So we would just like to do a quick interview with you. Will, go ahead and take it away.
Nice to talk to you today, Soraya. So my first question would be, at what point in time or moment did you know that a protest needed to be organized?
So on Wednesday, there was actually a lot of black events going on, and when that jury decision had came out, my mom actually informed me before anybody else. And when I saw it, it took a moment for me to just really process that this was happening again. And as soon as I got off the phone with her and was at the other events and didn't hear anything, no utterance of it, I knew at that moment. I picked up the phone, I called my president for lead, Shelby Dudley, and I was like, I don't know what you want to do for next week's event, but right now something has to happen. And we have to be loud about it because Xavier isn't. So it was literally probably an hour after I found out what happened, I just was overwhelmed again with those emotions of being a black woman and feeling silenced. So yeah.
Can you please just explain to us in a few words what the protest was directly about and who it was directed towards?
So I would just get this out, that it wasn't necessarily just directed toward the United States justice system. This was directed towards Xavier. Xavier administration, Xavier students, Xavier faculty in general that just haven't necessarily been loud or really making enough noise. We got back to campus and everybody became extremely silent about what was happening. During the pandemic, everybody was loud. I heard people talking about COVID, I heard people talking about George Floyd and all of that. So this was directed at administration. It was directed toward the situations that have happened here on campus, my own injustices as well as the injustices toward black students, people of color on this campus, including regular students, because I think a lot of people don't understand their rights and genuinely just what we deserve. So with that being said, that's really who it was directed toward.
Oh, awesome. Did you expect as many people that actually came to come, or was there a number you had in mind for how many people you thought would show up?
For me, I know a lot of people were doubting the movement just because it was out of the blue. I kind of was just no, we're going to do it. I'm not going to ask for permission. This is going to have to happen. I didn't doubt the amount of people that would come, but there was a lot more optimism from a lot of other people, or a couple other people that were like, Sarai, this is going to be big, like we have to do something about it. Like don't expect to just be talking to a few people. People actually care. So for me, I was extremely surprised by the amount of people that actually showed up, because you didn't just have Xavier students, you had UC students that I knew. Yeah, UC students had been there. A couple of professors from UC had actually showed up as well, and people from the Norwood community. So I was really just expecting to see Xavier students. But we had faculty, we had people from a completely different university that all just came and were like, no, we support you, we support this, and we need to be loud. So the turnout was crazy.
That's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even know that UC
I wasn't aware that UC was involved.
Yeah. Awesome. You mentioned LEAD earlier, and I know Goal, I'm sure, had a hand in this, but what clubs and organizations were involved in the making of the protest?
Actually, the only reason LEAD was kind of involved was just because I'm the vice president of it, and I had to say something to Shelby about it, but most of it was organized by me. However, the club that I would give the most credit to with actually helping out with this had actually been the National Panhellenic Council, which is NPHC. That's our Black Greek sororities and fraternities here on campus. They donated all those waters you saw. They were running around, passing them out. My boyfriend is a Kappa, so he's actually was running up and down, making sure everything was handled, and they had a big hand in donating all of that. The day before, they were calling me like, what do you need? How can we help you? And I was like, it's going to be hot. And that was the one thing. They were like, we need to make sure we get waters. We need to make sure we have a couple masks for people that don't have it. So they were a big part of this, but it was really just like singly student-led. It wasn't necessarily like an attached organization. It was really just like, Black leaders, I need your help. I want to do this. Come out. And they showed out for sure. So yeah.
Really, really cool. Did you feel like, and that's kind of a general statement, but do you feel like your message got across to the people that you felt it needed to get across to on campus? Or is it a little too early to tell?
I think they heard us.
Okay.
And I say that just because you guys picked it up.
Yeah.
I think if they didn't, like, if nobody heard us, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. If nobody heard me, I wouldn't have got the looks from administration when I was talking, if nobody had heard us. And you had Sierra and Cam, their quotes. You had Dr. Kyra. I know you didn't know the pronunciation, but that's okay. I just want to make sure everybody knows that's Dr. Kyra Shahid. And you had, especially with having her there, I knew having somebody that cared about Black students but wasn't necessarily worried and fearful of their job being possibly like a consequence was important. So I knew from that moment, I was like, you can hear us. When I got backlash, I knew people could hear us. When I saw the news
that's
pick
usually
up the story,
that's usually a good tell.
Exactly. So when the news picked up the story and they were out there asking me questions, I was like, oh no, you hear us now, because Xavier can't push this under the rug anymore. You have to confront situations that become public, especially at a private university. So I think administration heard us. I mean, I'm still waiting for my emails because I know it's going to happen.
Surprised you haven't gotten them yet.
Exactly. So like, I've gotten a couple of administration reaching out to me asking what they could do. But this just wasn't my first situation at Xavier. I had gotten jumped back in February. I had been called the N-word on Zoom. They try to keep that hushed, but it's okay. It was me. And it's just a lot of different things that were happening. And it's like, they've seen my face, but they haven't heard me. So I think now there's no pushing that away. Everybody kind of knows what happened. Everybody knows now that administration on many levels are not allowing the success of Black students here on campus. So I think it was loud and clear what I was going for, and really getting those Black voices out there to hear, hey, this is happening to us. You can't ignore it. I think that was big, and I think I'm pretty sure they heard us. I don't know if you guys know, but I think they did.
I literally heard you. I walked
I would
by,
agree
I was
with
like,
that.
there they are.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, there were so many people there. That's
That
awesome.
was so
Very
beautiful
exciting.
to me.
Fantastic. Well, quite an empowering moment. Now that is over with, that has happened, what, if any, efforts are being made both on campus and just moving forward to continue to push this change?
So, actually, one of the administrative advisors for the basketball team reached out to my boyfriend asking if he knew me, just to see if he could, because I guess what stuck with them was the fact that I said there are many minority clubs that are underfunded. So they've reached out and they're actually trying to get that funding toward it. So that's one portion of what's going on. I know we have a couple of demands that we've been wanting to get out there. A couple of different black leaders, a couple of different black students. We kind of got together and we're like, we need this, we need that. If Xavier wants to be actively anti-racist, this is what needs to happen. So right now it's really getting those demands and getting administration to actually talk back. Because right now it's kind of like we're speaking toward them. And more so speaking at them, even though we want it to be an open conversation, we want a panel or something to where we're actually answered. So right now, it's continuing to make that noise because, once again, we can't do this and allow it to be performative and not go further.
Yeah.
So people still want that. People are asking me to do more protests, doing certain things. So it's just getting to administration at this point.
Awesome. I'm not sure, Aaron, if you have any questions for Soraya before we close this out.
Maybe just, how can students make everyday changes within their community on Xavier's campus to, end racial injustice here?
So one, recognize your privilege. Whether that be in class, when you realize that the syllabus is majority around people that look like you, as well as recognizing that, or actually, I would say recognizing that when your friends say certain things, that it's not okay, that it's your job to say something, whether I'm in the room or I'm not. I think Xavier has a big problem with not wanting to speak up because you feel like you're by yourself in a closed room with just your friends. So I think that's a big part, as well as actually demanding justice, demanding that you see something come out of Xavier on a different level. You want to see how people are going to react. You want to demand, especially using your privilege, you want to demand that we actually do something about that. Ask for the budget. Ask for where your funds are going. Ask why is that person not allowed to graduate, but my GPA is lower than theirs. Ask certain questions like that. Make sure you're asking questions. I think that's really what you can do right now, and uplift the voices that are trying to be heard but can't be. So I think that's really important, and keep covering this. Like, you guys are awesome because
Thank you.
There's very rarely people that want to cover a situation like this. I told you guys about my assault before. That did not get covered by anybody. And that was a petition that got over 2,500 signatures.
Wow.
So it's the point of making sure you guys elevate Black voices and make sure that you're listening, as well as trying to push them up so that they're heard by people that don't want to listen. So yeah. I think that's what we can do.
I think I'd like to close out this segment twofold. First of all, we'd love to have you back on at any point.
Yes.
You've been a great guest.
Definitely.
Thank you.
We'd love to hear everything you've had to say, and I think that it's a really important message, and I'm sure everybody here would agree. Second of all, I would just like to give you the floor if there's any final messages or things you would like to get out there, both to the university and just to students and people around campus. Floor is yours.
A couple things. One, our job isn't done. We got out there, we were loud for a day, it was hot, our job's not done. We have other things that we need to be worried about. We have a lot of voices that we need to elevate other than Soraya's. I can lead everybody, but I can't protect everybody because, once again, my protection and my safety has been compromised literally 3 different times, and especially since I came out here, that's a big thing. So make sure you're protecting your fellow students. Make sure every time, and I'm not saying just by like physical things, like words hurt.
Yes.
I need y'all to speak up. I need everybody to speak up. Like, we cannot afford to go silent again, because I feel like America's been silent way too long. And especially Xavier University, we have that I would say that ability, I would really say, to be silent. We don't have to say anything. We're a private university. So I want everyone just to not be silent anymore, because you're creating this violent situation where it's deafening for people that look like me. Especially when so many people love me so much or say they love me, it hurts when I don't see those same people that say they love me show out for me. Yeah. So it's really just make sure, and make sure you're comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think Black people have gotten so used to doing that everybody just relies on them, like, okay, you're strong, okay, they're gonna do that. Like, have Black friends, it's okay. I understand if you don't understand everything I'm going through, but we be willing to open yourself up to that. So that's really what I would say. I'd say silence is violence, so we can't get silent again, and open yourself up to being uncomfortable. Open yourself up to spaces that you haven't been in before. Go to Black clubs. Like, if you think it's something that you can't go to, go. I promise you, nobody's gonna be looking at you like, oh, that white kid is walking in. Like, they're gonna be like, oh, somebody cares. Somebody's willing to listen to me. So yeah, do that. I think just don't get silent.
Wonderful. All right, Soraya Barnes, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you
you
very
guys.
much.
Absolutely, anytime.
Once again, thank you so much, Soraya. You've given us so many great things to think about and so many great things to act upon.
Right.
We are going to say goodbye, unfortunately, but I agree with Will. We would absolutely love to have you on the show.
Let me know anytime. Anytime.
Yes,
I'm willing to talk to you guys, okay?
All right, listeners, we're going to go move on to our feature on the print, so we'll see you there. Welcome back, listeners. We are here with Feature on the Print, the segment of the show where we take a story from Xavier Newswire, the print edition, and we bring in the writer and we have a little talk about it. Welcome to Grace Hamilton.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm very well. So Will's going to lead us off with this interview. Will, do you want to go ahead and take it away?
Yeah, so could you give us a little bit of an idea as to what your article was about, and maybe a reason as to why you decided to write that opinion piece?
Yeah, of course. So my article focuses on the institution of pornography, the industry. And essentially my idea for writing it was how it harms women specifically, how it harms children, and just the morality and ethics of the industry as a whole.
So you speak about the industry. Could you give us, if any, an idea as to how widespread and how large the pornography industry is, or in other words, just how many people are visiting some of these major sites, just like even on a daily basis, on a yearly basis?
So the numbers are honestly really huge. Just for Pornhub alone, which is one pornography site, they have millions, if not billions, of visits a day. In one story I wrote about, in one specific example for the article, this young girl was raped and killed in India, and on their biggest porn site, over 8 million men searched for the video of her rape.
Jesus.
Wow. Okay. So moving a little more into the effects of pornography on women, because I know that was a very big focus of your story. Could you describe to us some of the ways in which women are specifically impacted by pornography, both by viewing it and by its production?
So with its production, many women are harmed just by being porn actresses. A lot of people say it's choice, but you have to consider what's behind that choice, especially since women with the least choices usually go into it. You hear stories about paying off debts, paying for college, paying for medical school, paying their bills. And a lot of women are trafficked into pornography. They're drugged while making these films. There's a drug referred to as Triple H, hyper, happy, horny, which makes them look completely willing, though they're completely out of it. And then, even just by viewing it, there's a lot of expectations that are created for women when having sex. So choking has become a popular thing, and women have actually died from sex games gone wrong, is what it's referred to. So women have these expectations of servicing men during sex as a porn actress would, and it actually causes injuries and death and just a lot of situations where women are no longer safe.
Sure. So I think my final question here would be, what would be your message to both men and women, but primarily to the men that are viewing pornography, as to, how it affects them, not only the women that are being harmed in these films, but it alters their mind in a sense that it is creating a reality that is not so, and is really just harming them, even though they probably don't know. What is your message to them about the porn industry?
So it may come off like I'm saying this, but sexuality is healthy. Exploring what you're into is healthy, but viewing women as a commodity is not healthy, because that's not what we are.
Right.
And so I think you really just have to be aware of what you're watching, and you have to ask yourself these questions of, what am I viewing here? Am I viewing a woman who is trafficked? Am I viewing a woman who's on drugs? Even if that's a small percentage of the porn industry, am I okay with that, happening in my porn? And so we need to work probably together to, make the porn industry more ethically acceptable, if that makes sense. So
Right.
What's happening now is that women and children are trafficked and abused, and it becomes acceptable even in culture as a whole, and it's not. So if we could make porn 100% moral and acceptable, that's fine, but at this moment right now it's not. And if men watching it could be aware of that, I think that would be a lot better and help a lot.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Very well put, Grace.
Sure does. Just to finish out here, your article, I don't know if you're aware of this, really has people talking a lot on campus, and was actually the #1 article on the XavierNewswire.com website. We're wondering if you have any reactions to that.
I mean, that's really shocking that, something I wrote, it has been viewed that much. And it makes me happy that people are talking about it, even if they disagree with what I'm saying, because I have had people tell me that they disagree with what I'm saying. As long as I'm starting a conversation, that's all I could ask for.
For sure, and I think that, you bring some very important points to the table. I think people oftentimes aren't thinking about that when they're viewing, and when I read your article, it was definitely very shocking. It's very, catches your eye. But when you dig deep into it, you made some fantastic points, and I think that you're really bringing up a topic that people aren't talking about enough. So we thank you very much. Grace Hamilton, guest writer for Newswire, you did an excellent job, and we hope to have you back on sometime soon.
Thank you for having me.
And also, if you listeners want to go ahead and read the article in its entirety as it was published in Newswire, then you can go to the website, www.xaviernewswire.com, and the article is called Pornography is Not Liberation. Listeners, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today in this episode of Newswire Live. Thank you for tuning into the show today. If you have any thoughts or feedback, questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns for the Newswire Multimedia crew, send them to the multimedia team at xaviernewswire@gmail.com. We would like to give a special thanks to Carolyn Youngquist, a senior music education major at Xavier, who produced the music heard in today's show. At this time, we'd also like to give a shout out to our staff and guests who made this episode possible. Thank you to Managing Multimedia Editor Hunter Ellis, Multimedia Associate Editor and co-host Will Pembroke, Newswire Editor-in-Chief Heather Gast, Newswire Managing Editor Alex Budzinski, and our runners for today, Charlie Gestalder and Joseph Cotton. Without your help, this show would not be possible. Thank you also to Thomas Webby, Aaron Albright, Soraya Barnes, and Grace Hamilton for their wonderful contributions to today's show. You can now find Newswire Live episodes on YouTube. If you missed any, search Xavier Newswire to find our channel. Also, don't miss our next episode. We would absolutely love to have you live, and as always, that is Monday at 7 p.m. You can also, don't forget to visit Xavier Newswire on Instagram Live on October 1st from 4 to 6 p.m. for Your School, Your Questions. Until next time, this is David Ludwig.
And Will Pembroke.
Wishing you a memorable Monday evening and signing off.